Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Trading Together. I'm Mel Gacee. Today is Thursday, January the 29th. How are you all doing today? It's so good to see you guys here and to trade together. So we are going to do some live trading today, hopefully. And we're also going to do some market analysis. So this is a place for traders of all levels. And I'm especially wanting to help traders that are newer, that have questions. Any of your questions or comments are welcome here, and I will get to them as I can every single day. So feel free to drop your name in the chat, drop your questions or your comments in the chat, and I'm going to do those and handle those as best I can. All right, Anna is here. Good morning. And Bill is here. Good morning. What a dump. Am I right? Look at this. We are going crazy here with this drop. So we've hit a bottom. We have been dropping pretty much right since the open. And that is wild. Here's the thing. So I also have another live stream that I run. I am going to load some puts right now. I'm loading the 686 puts and not in them yet, but I'm just looking at them. We have a low here of 685.1 on the, shoot. Oh, I gotta fix one of my accounts just a second. We have a low that we are hitting right now. So I'm watching that to see if we come back down through that. But right now, 1 second. And basically what's going on here is as soon as we opened the day, we were extremely positive on the VIX. We'll talk about that in a second. All right, that's done. All right, there we go. So what I'm looking for right now before we get into this trade is a break of this current bottom at 685.1 on the SPY. So what I was about to say, on another stream, and on that stream, as soon as we opened this morning, what I saw was that the VIX was elevated. So even though we opened with a gap up, the VIX was up over 17. Now that's not huge. That's not a huge jump for the VIX. It's not that uncommon, but we haven't seen 17 in a little while, and it was a jump from yesterday. So with that jump on the VIX, I kind of said, ooh, this looks like a negative open. And sure enough, within a minute or two, boom, we just started dropping. And the market has been dropping and the VIX has been climbing ever since. Take a look at the VIX here. Let me zoom out for you and see it. I am watching right now. I'm still watching this. There's the new low. Okay. That's what I'm waiting for to see how we respond here. Are we going lower? Let's see if this is a temporary little stop. Very negative day so far. I'm not super interested in calls today until the VIX gives us a little break. Look at it. Just boom, right out of the gate. Boom. Rocket ship up and the market tidal wave down. So, all right, VIX is getting a little bit of a slowdown. So let's keep that in the side view mirror. But yeah, basically right here from the very open, the VIX was sitting in this 17 zone and then boom, just took off like a rocket. So until the VIX comes down below, way down, I'm not really interested in calls. I am interested in this put here, but I need to see that we're making a new low. So far, not convinced. We are right at the gap fill. I'll show that to you in just a minute. We have a gap fill that we just filled right now at this low. So I will show you what that looks like. And is that the support? Are we going to get support here and create a bottom, or are we going to keep dropping? Well, the Qs are down more than we are. The Qs are down over 2%. We're only down 1.5%. The MAGs, that's the ETF with all of the MAG 7 in it. Those guys are down 2.1%. So, okay, looks like we might be breaking this bottom. Let's see. All right, I'm going to give a put a try here. Nothing major, and today I've not been able to make, believe it or not, with this crazy drop, I've only been able to make small wins because they're just not paying great. But let's see what we get here. And if I didn't say punch it, I am in. And the problem with this drop is you never know where they're going to build the bottom. That's the problem. So that's why I've been taking small wins along the way. And it does look to me like the drop could be slowing down. So we did fill the gap. And like I said, that could be support. So this is a strong green candle here. So 684.8 is our new low of day. Pretty low on the SPY. That one moved against us. All right, little move back down here. So we're not breaking the 20 overhead yet. That's the gold, the yellow line. I think if we start to break this, I might jump out. Let's see what we had this little pop through here and then a reversal. So let's see what we get. Yep, that is popping through there. I'm going to jump out here. That's a 22% there. You just don't know where the bottom is, so I'm going to take the loss right now. Hopefully that didn't hurt anybody too bad. The little stops are better than the bigger ones. We'll get a better position in a minute. I don't like it breaking the 20 here. It could just keep climbing. We don't know. Yeah, it's see a bit of a push here. And 68.71, that's the gap fill. So let's take a look at that gap fill. Yeah, look at that push. Glad we're out. Don't stress about the little losses. It's totally okay. So this is the gap fill right here that we just filled. Right there. You can see, let me zoom in a little bit more, and I'm going to make this VIX a little smaller. So you can see this gap right here. So we filled this one today. There was a gap here, and there's a gap here. This is the one we just filled, but it's only with the wick of the candle. And now we're getting a bounce back up. That's what this is right here. So these 5 little green candles are the same as this wick right here. But we did come down and hit this to fill this gap, which was sitting at 68.75. So that's filled, and we've got a bounce. So good thing we got out of that. It's still bouncing. It's better, like I said, if it's not looking like it's going in your direction, it really is better to take the smaller loss. All right. So, question, do we want to take calls here? Now, let's look. I do see the VIX falling, but I would be really careful about any calls while the VIX is elevated. So, it's right now, it's just under 19. Even though we're climbing and the VIX is falling, that's a little bit of a gamble. So what did one trader said that I really liked? He said, it's okay to be wrong. It's not okay to stay wrong. That's the idea with stop outs. It's okay to be wrong. We just can't stay wrong. All right, mags are starting to climb here. Q's doing the same thing. So let's see how far they go with this. I'm not buying this call yet, because if we zoom out and look at the big picture, it's been pretty strong sell. Now this is, we just beat this most recent high. So that's positive. That's a symbol of a trend change. So could they be giving us a V-shaped recovery? Yes, they could. But I'm not buying it until the VIX comes down a bit more, until we get closer to the VWAP. We are getting closer. VWAP's coming up overhead at 6. That's the Qs. Let me get back to the SPY. VWAP coming up overhead at 690. 690. So a little bit of a stronger push here. All right, climbing up through the 50. So this is a first. We haven't beat the 50 all day. We have not beaten it. We came down through it at the very open, and we've been sinking ever since. So we just pushed. That's this blue line right here. So now we just pushed up through it. That's new. That's a change. So there is a trend change here. So right here, 6,900 on the SPX. This level is a big deal, and we'll zoom out here in a minute, and I'll show you what 6,900 looks like on the daily. But you'll see it's a big deal. We've been holding that level for a long time. So we lost it. We came all the way down to 68.70, like I said, to fill the gap. And now we're given a bounce back to 6,900. If they can hold the 6,900 level, we could see it start to recover. But if they lose it here, we have another leg down. So I'll show you what that looks like on the daily. With all my crazy lines. I know there's a lot of them. All right, I have the 68.50 highlighted here in yellow. 6,900 is right here. So we are just under it. You can see they tried to push up to it. But if we lose it here, we could be looking at another leg down. So that's this line right here. And you can see that it's been important for a while. We've here and here and here and here and here. It's been a really important level for a long time, and the hold that, or we get another leg down. Now, look at this daily and see if we got another leg down, what that would look like. What could that look like? Let me make this a little bigger. This is hard to. All right, kind of holding here at 6,900 still. But look at what we've been doing for months and months and months, climbing, climbing, climbing. We broke this trend. So I've got a channel drawn here. You can see these two lines. We've broken that channel over here in November, and we never really came up to reclaim it. We came up sort of in here, but never really reclaimed it. We opened a new channel is basically what we did. So we've got another channel down here. And honestly, this one's looking a little bit more like an ascending wedge. So that's kind of what we're seeing here. This bottom line, let me draw a line here, and it might be easier to see. I know it's a lot of red lines here, but basically, ooh, come back. Here we go. Basically, it's from here, kind of this way, right? And this would be almost an ascending triangle, but it's more of an ascending wedge. The triangle, let me make these lines different color, and you'll see them better. Maybe a green. Let's try a green. All right, we are climbing up over 6,900. All right, so maybe you can see those lines a little bit better. So here's the current ascending triangle right here, and this is the old trend or channel line, okay? So what we, as this triangle narrows, this is basically like a continuation pattern. Nice push. As soon as we get some movement here, we are going to look at a trade. I mean, there's a lot of movement here, but I want to see a change to this uptrend. And then we'll be looking at a potential put if we start to make another leg down, or we get a mini change in the trend and then another push up. That's what I'm looking for here. Let's see if they can hold this 69. So far they are 6,900. We're sitting at 6,906. So I'm going to give this a few minutes to give us a little, we want to reset these moving averages and the MACD, and then go from there for our next trade. Okay. So this ascending triangle is a continuation pattern, and eventually the triangle comes to a point, and eventually the price kind of consolidates into the point, and it'll break out either to the up or to the downside. So right now we haven't quite broken this upward bottom. This is a rising bottom that has not been broken yet. So this upward trend on the daily chart is still intact. Even though this is a big drop, this upward trend is still intact. We have to remember that. All right, still pushing upward. And this trend doesn't break until this trend line gets broken. So that could happen. So let's zoom in again and I'll show you. Let me change my drawing tool. There we go. So let's zoom in again. What could happen here? So every time we've hit an all-time high, we've pulled down. All-time high, we pulled down, pulled down, pulled down, pulled down, pulled down. But every single time that we have pulled down, oh, that's a nice strong drop there. I'm going to load some puts here at 688. I'm not in them. I'm just loading. Gavilan, good morning. Good to see you. Okay, so had trouble getting in. Oh, why? What happened? Was it on the YouTube end or my end? Something we did wrong? All right, let's see if this thing pushes again. Anyway, so every time that we have broken down from a high, we have bought the dip. We bought the dip, we bought the dip, we bought the dip, we bought the dip. Every time we've broken down from a high, we bought the dip. Not sure it was on my end. Okay, sorry, Gavilan, I'm sorry to hear that. So this is the bigger picture, and we have to keep that in mind. Until we break down through this bottom, rising bottom here, right here where I drew that green line, until we break down through that, we are still technically in an uptrend. And every time we've broken down from a high, we've bought the dip. So that's something we need to remember. Could we get another big move down tomorrow? Yes. So look what happened over here when we broke down from this high. We had a drop and then kind of tried to rise and then a drop and then tried to rise and then a drop. So yeah, could that be in store for us? Yes. So we need to be aware of that. I'm not necessarily, I'll have to wait and see if I take any overnight trades tonight based on how we close, based on if we recover 6,900. But for now, the main point is we are still in the uptrend. We still need to wait and see if we get a buy the dip or if we get a further breakdown. That's what I'm watching for. Okay, so we're still recovering the 6,900. Let's go back to our minute chart. I do still have my puts ready, but we could shift to calls if this starts to move up again. So we just recovered the 50. So the first thing we did, remember, is we recovered this 20. This is where we got out of our puts because we were recovering the 20 and we hadn't done that so far today. So that's why I got out over here. Then we recovered the 50. We haven't done that all day. And now we're testing the 100. That's this green one. So 20 is yellow, blue is 50, green is 100, turquoise is 200. All right, nice push here. I am going to load calls, even though we're not up to the VWAP yet. I got to be careful here because this is a strong downtrend. But I'm looking at 688 calls. I'm not in them yet. I'm just being prepared. We can drop it back down from here, or we could continue climbing. It's all about 6,900 right now. That's this red line right here. So it's all about 6,900. If we hold it, we could continue up. And we do still have the VWAP a little bit overhead, sitting at 690 on the SPY. So that's still a good 20 points overhead on the SPX. Okay. So our MACD is getting a little tired here. We can see that. Even though we started to rise again, it's kind of losing a little bit of momentum. Let me make that MACD a little bigger so you can see it. It's looking a little tired. Are we going to round over and fall back down? I can pivot to puts. Let's watch and see. Now we've got the 20 coming up over the 50. So that's in a sense like a golden cross. A golden cross is where a shorter term average crosses up over a longer term average. And that's usually a bullish sign. So we do have the 20 trying to cross the 50. But we're kind of holding here right at 6,900. And, you know, they can pull sideways here for a while. They can battle it out right here at this level for a long time. That may be what's in the cards. VIX came down a little bit, 18.5. So VIX hit 20 today. And we'll take a look at the daily VIX chart here in just a minute. And I'll show you what I'm seeing on it. Okay, we are coming down. Looks like back down through the 20 here. I'm looking at 688 puts. I'm not in anything. I'm just looking, pivoting again. $6,900 is above us. We haven't lost it quite yet, but the MACD is rolling over. The bulls don't want to let 6,900 go, so we need to watch this level and not be too quick. I'm not going to be too quick on the draw here because I need to see that we're actually losing 6,900. Eggy asking, why not 688 or 687? Great question, Eggy. Really good question. The reason is actually it would be 689 at this point, but basically the reason is I look for the first option in the money. I want the delta to be 0.50 or better. And you can take the next one out of the money or even the next two out of the money. But the farther down you go in delta, the less the option is going to move with the underlying and in your favor. So, all right, coming back up. Looking at 688 calls. We're just pivoting back and forth here today. If we break the 100 here, that's a great sign. We're up at 6906 on the SPX. So we got a little top that it's kind of building right here. And again, this may be the beginning of a range. So I'm starting to see it looking a little rangy. So let's see if we can break out of this range. All right, Eggy, when you said it, we were at 687.5 something. Okay, so it's kind of moving around, but I am looking usually at the first one in the money. So it could have been a mistake on my part, but usually I'm looking at the first one in the money. At this moment, if we were going to take a call, it would be a 688. If we were going to take a put, it would be a 689. So that's usually what I'm looking at, is the first one in the money. You can, like I said, you can go one or two out of the money. I wouldn't go any more than that, just because your deltas are going to get lower as you do that. Well, hello, Guy. Good to see you. Love that you're on longer via this channel. Thank you. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Hope you've been doing great today, Guy. I had a good morning so far. We did take a losing trade right here. We took a call and jumped out when we crossed the 20. So that was about, I think it was about a 25% loss, which stinks, but it's okay. I've had some other good wins this morning on this drop. So hope you did too. Right now, I'm looking at this 6,900 level being a support. We have recovered it. So bulls have recovered the 6,900 level on the SPX, but we are not really breaking it yet. We're not breaking it significantly above or below. So we could just be starting to range here. That's what I'm looking at. But I do have calls loaded. I do have the 688s loaded right now. And what we're doing right now is testing this 100. See this 100 right here? This is a 100 period moving average. So we're testing that, and we are creeping up over it. Okay, there we go. Nice little pop over it. I'm going to go ahead and try calls here. I am in, punch it. Again, I've been careful with my wins today. They haven't been super big. Let's see what we get here. All right, Guy is in calls, currently up. Nice, Guy. Tiny little candles here. 6905 on the SPX. Let's see if we can keep a little push going here. We haven't quite broken the 100 on the SPY. We did break it on the SPX. So let's see if we can come and grab it on the SPY. All right, a little bit of a red candle there. And our VWAP is a good bit overhead. So if we break 6,900, I may have to stop out again. And I hate having two stop outs in a row, but it does happen sometimes. Let's see what happens here at 6,900. See if we get another bounce or if we break it. All right. Pushing 6903. There's a push. There we go. Wow, that's a nice push. We'll take it. Come on now. Keep going. Come on now. Give us a push. Kind of struggling a little bit at this top here. 69.03 is still where we're kind of stopping. And I'm looking at the SPX. Qs have come up a little bit off their low. All right, there we go. That's a little better. You can see on this zoomed out picture, we're kind of fighting over here at this top. Let's see if we can kind of push through that. The risk is that we've been in a downward trend. So this is basically a counter trend move. Even though it's given us a nice push, it is still a counter trend move. So that's the risk here. All right, 69.05, a little bit better. Just kind of trying to go sideways here so far, but I feel a little bit of a desire for this to push. Hopefully we don't lose it here. Like to see a break of the 100 overhead. So that's what I'm hoping we can get up to. Just kind of holding sideways right now, 69.04 on the SPX. There we go. That's nice. Come on now, let's pop that 100. Keeps hitting this top and retreating. Do you see it? All of these upper wicks. I don't like that. We need to finish off a finish off a candle and close it up here and stop with the upper wicks. Here we go. That's better. Strong push. Just need to break that 100. $69.08. So that was a nice quick push up there, 4 points. Still not giving us green on our trade. Getting better though. Look at how it just tapped that 100, just tapped it. Bit of a battle here. You can really see these candles fighting each other, can't you? Here we go. Come on now. Push through. Push through. Come on. These wicks are getting a little higher, so that's positive. There we go. Come on. Keep going. Keep going. Sitting at 69.09. Right, we're finally a little bit green. Well, we were. $69.09 still. $69.10. They're really battling here. $69.09 still. Come on now. It's fighting with this 100. Do you see how it tries to pull up and then it pulls it down below the 100? It is trying. $69.09 still. Here we go. We're getting a little extended away from the hull, so I'm going to take a small win right here. I'm out. That should be 4%. But see how we're getting a little extended away from this whole moving average. So, and I don't like this herky-jerky at the 100. So little win there. Ate into that loss a little bit. I don't know if anybody took that or not. See how jumpy it is? And it's really still fighting that 100. Volume picking up a little here. There we go. There we go. Feels like it wants to climb to me. This is challenging trading, isn't it? When it's kind of super jumpy like this. It's always jumpy, but this one's really hopping around a lot. Let's go take a look at the daily VIX. I'll show you what is going on here. And let's take a look at our MACD here real quick. MACD getting tired. Look at that. See the MACD making these teeny little bars here? That means it's tired. There's no oomph behind the move. Even though we see this toggling and this jumpiness, it's been tiny bars telling us there's not a lot of momentum. Now, if we lose the 100 here, we could consider puts again. See how it looks like it wants to round over? But we're real close to 6,900, so we're about 6 points away. I don't think I would jump in unless we actually broke 6,900. Let's see what happens here. It's just not beating that 100, is it? Do you see that? It just doesn't want to yet. Coming back to the 20. Remember what I said about the golden cross. So the 20 crossed over the 50. That's usually any short-term moving average crossing over a long-term. That's usually a bullish signal. And this is the minute chart, so it's noisy. But we did get that little push here. We just don't know where we're going from here. Back to the 100. And 69.09 again, 69.10 almost. All right, let's take a look at the VIX on the daily, because that has a story to tell. So first thing this morning when we opened, the first thing I noticed is that the VIX had hopped. It had jumped. We opened with the VIX right in this area, right here in the 17s. Even though we opened with a small gap up today, when I saw the VIX, the first thing I said was, no calls, not right now. VIX is elevated on a gap. That's trouble. So immediately the market dumped. So as we looked at that chart earlier, let's zoom out here. You can see it. Like this is today, right? Opened, popped up for a second, and then boom, we dumped hard. At one point, I think we were down, what, 100 points? Let's see. 69.90 to 68. So 120 points is what we were down at one point. So pretty hard dump. Now we are making a bit of a V, but it's getting a little tired right here at 6,900. So that's what I'm watching. But the VIX tells us what's going on. Okay, there's a pop. We could consider calls again if we overtake this 100 here. So if I were to look at calls, I'd be looking at the 688s. Not in them right now. We're at 69.11 on the SPX. The MACD is still just a little too herky-jerky here. Look at that. Green, red, very undecided and small bars. So the MACD hasn't given us a strong signal yet. But I do have calls loaded just in case. We are over the 100. Okay. So on the daily, what you can see is we've had a rising bottom since December. Look at how it's slowly creeping up. But what happened today was we got a spike. We got a spike up to almost 20, 19 points. What's the high? 19.7. So we've talked about this before. Let me move this over so you can see. I know my face is in the way. Okay, hopefully you can see that. Yeah, good. So when we look at the VIX, we can see this spike. We don't get this kind of a candle very often on the VIX. And when we do, you can see that it corresponds with previous drops on the market. So let's take a look at the SPX on the daily here. All right. We're still struggling here on the SPY, still struggling right here at this 69.09, 69.10 level on the SPX. Oh, making another candle. All right. But what I'm wanting to show you is every time we've spiked up to, well, this is almost 20 on not necessarily this kind of candle, but on this spiky candle, I want to show you what the market looks like. So we had this spike up to 18. That was January 14th. So that was this drop right here. And if I make it a little bit bigger, it makes more sense, right? That was this drop right here. Pretty decent drop. We got down to 68.60, a little bit lower than we are now. So that was on the 14th when we popped up here. We had another spike over here up to 22. That was November 7th. Look at the drop we got on November 7th. Right there. Came all the way down to 66.20. So pretty strong drop there on November 7th. And then you got back down. That November 7th day, we pulled back up. Here's a spike to 22. That happened on October the 10th. So why can't I see that? Stop it. All right, October the 10th. Why isn't it letting me? It's not letting me pull. Let's do it this way then. Okay. October 10th. Look at that big candle. Big, big drop there. So the point here that I'm showing you is whenever we see these kind of out of the blue spikes, and I'm not talking about this and this. I mean, these have their own story. But when we see these popping candles, that corresponds to these quick drops that come out of nowhere, right? Yesterday, we're sitting at 7,000, and today, boom, we're knocked back down to 6,900, 100 points drop. So always keep your eye on the VIX. That's the moral of the story. All right, we are not beating this 69.10 top so far. So let's go back and look at this chart and see if there are any put trades here. It looks like there could be. Let me get back to my minute. I do like puts here. I'm going to load. I'm not trading them yet. I'm just going to load the 689s. I'm going to load the 689 puts. I'm not in them, but I'm starting to like them. Again, this MACD looking a little wonky to me. I don't like it. Let's take a look at what the VIX is doing on the minute. Giving us a little pop there. So VIX came down to 18.1. That's still elevated to me. So while the market was climbing here, the VIX was dropping. It got down to 18.1. That's just not that, it's still elevated. So still basically to me kind of shows jitters in the market, right? So let's see if the VIX starts climbing. If the VIX starts climbing, then we should see the market drop. And if the VIX starts dropping, we'll see the market continue to climb. We're still fighting this 100 line. We still haven't really beat it, have we? Let me make this bigger. So we haven't really beat that 100 yet. It's still fighting here at 69.09 on the SPX. All right, there's another break of it. All right. Would have thought VIX would have been higher today to 22. It did get almost up to 20, Guy. So I agree with you. I think we could see it continue to spike, or maybe it gets knocked back down like that other VIX candle we were looking at. Right now, it does look like a V shape, but we haven't recovered a ton. We've recovered a bit, but not a ton. And we're starting to get a little shaky here, right? This rise was super strong here, and then it sort of went, we don't know. So again, it is a V at this point, but it hasn't completed it. So needs to get back up to this level. There was some support here at 69.50. Of course, that's another big level, but it needs to get back up here to 69.50. That's another 15 points overhead. If it can't do that, I suspect another leg down. But yep, I'm with you, Guy. And if we get another leg down, we could see a pop up over 20. That could definitely happen. The mags have recovered a little bit. The mags were down over 2%, and now they're sitting at 1.5 negative. We're sitting at about 1% negative. The Qs are still below us at 1.7 negative. And what did Russell do today? 0.6 negative. So about half as far down as the Qs. All right, just kind of trying to hang on here. That's what it's looking like to me. It's just trying to hang on. So when you zoom out, you can see this, right? You see all this congestion here? That's where we've been sitting in that 69.07 to 69.10 zone on the SPX. Just kind of zoning sideways at this point, not beating the 100 yet. That's significant. Pay attention to this. If we lose it, we're dropping. So that's why I do have puts loaded. If we lose this 100 here, I think we'll drop again. VIX is giving us a little pop, just a little one. See this little green candle right here? Just right there. All right, so trading plan for today, this is a little bit tricky because while we were doing this, it was easy. I was scalping all the way down. That was great. But now we've changed the theme a little bit and we're doing some sideways dancing. So we got to be careful here. We are still under the VWAP. We haven't even beat this 100 yet. And we're coming back down through the 20 and coming back to test the 50. So and we're popping on the VIX. So plan for me today is even though we took a call, I'm bearish until they prove otherwise. And to prove otherwise, we need to regain 69.50. We need to regain that. And like I said, that's going to be right in here, right here, pretty close to where the VWAP is sitting. That's 15 points overhead, 84. Yeah, roughly where the VWAP is sitting. If we can do that, if we can reclaim 69.50, reclaim the VWAP, then I'll be on the bull train. If we can't, then I will continue to be bearish. So at this point, it's sideways. So we either break this top and push up toward the VWAP, which will make me bullish, or we break down through 6,900, which is only 10 points below us on the SPX. So those are kind of the two levels I'm looking for. 6,900 on the SPX to the low side, break this 50, break 6,900 to the downside for a negative trade, or a push up through the 100 and to the VWAP for a trade to the upside. So that's going to bring us to the end of the stream. Keep your eye on the VIX. Keep your eye on the major players. Watch the Qs. Watch the mags. They will tell you where we're going. And I will be back again tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern. And thank you so much for your questions and comments and for being here. I really appreciate you all. It's so much more fun to not trade alone. We'll be back again tomorrow at 11 Eastern. And I appreciate you. Bye-bye for now.